There's this saying in the speaking world that every time you give a speech, you're actually giving three speeches. The speech that you prepare for, the speech you actually deliver, and then the speech you wish you had delivered. And I think this is really an important aspect to get through as a new speaker or somebody who may be feeling nervous when you go to speak. The preparation that you do in advance is kind of like training, right? For in sports. Training is the ideal situation. So, you're seated in a comfy spot, maybe in your office or your home, and everything's quiet. You're spending some reflection time. You're thinking about what you want to say. You're typing it up. You're putting it in the right order. You are spending a lot of time on the left side of your brain on training or prep time for your speech. Now, when it comes to game day, the delivery of the speech, things are a little different. No longer are you on the left side of your brain, you are on the right side. Things are dynamic. There are people coming in and out of the room. Maybe the technology is giving you a little bit of a run for your money. And there are questions coming at you. It's just a really dynamic situation. So everything you prepared for in advance now is tweaked, if you will. You're hopefully present-minded enough to make some adjustments and really be with what's happening in the room. But what it takes is that right side of your brain, that sort of the abstract tuning in, if you will, to what's happening. And you're in this dance. You're responding to what's going on. And then finally, afterwards, you have instant replay about game day. You go through in your mind every misstep. Maybe you feel really great afterwards. In fact, what I have found is that for the first half hour, I feel so relieved and I feel wonderful and I feel great and I really feel like that first half hour afterwards is like a celebration. And then after that becomes this almost like skeptic that steps in and says, "Hey, but did you see the way that woman looked at you? Did you really think about how you were saying this thing in your speech? Did you say it correctly? And what could you have done differently in that moment?" And I'll spend time just even getting to the point where it's really critical. And I know that a lot of you out there are the same way or even worse. So, what I've decided to do for myself is really get clear on what success means in a presentation. For me, that means to connect. And in those moments after the speech, if I can say, yeah, I was able to connect with that audience. They were nodding their head. They were laughing in the appropriate spots. They were raising their hand when I asked them to. If I can find moments of connection, then I know I did a good job. And then I tell myself to just stop being critical of myself for things that maybe in the past I would have been really critical about. Because on game day, I really believe that what happens on game day is meant to happen. If you forget a really important piece of your presentation, nobody will know for the most part. Um, and I wonder if in that moment you were meant to forget it. I do think that there's an element of trusting self when you're in the present moment with your audience. There are pieces of your prep that you did in this, warm, comfy place in your home that don't belong in this space and time that you are in with the audience. But you won't know that until you're there. When you are present with your audience, you start to flex and you start to realize where you're at and what you're doing and what's appropriate to say. And I think there's so much trust that we can have in ourselves. And sometimes that means there are pieces omitted that we really wanted to share, and that's okay. So, in that reflection time, when you think about the speech you just delivered, take care to treat yourself like your best friend, like you would if you were talking to your best friend about the speech she just delivered. Because if you spend time being really critical and berating yourself, you'll actually erode your confidence the next time you go to speak. And that can only cause more stress and anxiety going into that next speech. So take care to treat yourself like your best friend